What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and today, honestly, this game's kind of a weird one, and I was almost not going to show it, not because it's not a good game. It's actually a very, very good game. It's potentially, to be honest, and I try not to just always throw this around at the start of all of my videos, but it's one of my best hatball games ever. Despite not playing a hero that particularly synergizes with hatball, it's just a very, very strong game, and we're gonna do some really powerful stuff, but yeah, it's just kind of random how it all comes together. Now, we do have a really strong start to the game, and I do think that if there's anything to kind of take away from this, and that I generally do say about Pup, he's very strong in the early stages of the game. We pick up a Polywoggle on that first turn, and then the second turn Forbidden Fruit plus Cindy and a Mad Mim, and then on 2.2 we get to pick up even another Polywoggle after our first one has slayed, and our first one slayed into a support character, and that is obviously really strong as well. Now, you'll notice that I'm not trying to delay these Polywoggle slays in any capacity. I'm just trying to slay with them and get that going. And one thing that I generally really do like on Pup is getting an early lead and then trying to win a Wish Upon a Star. And I've done that a lot on Pup in the past. I think that it's like a pretty repeatable game plan. So just going for strength as much as possible. And then we'll see here. I mean, I'm obviously going to pick up Brave Princess, and the Candy Cannon will even land on the Mummy, so that's nice as well. Won't really be able to pick up the Spellweaver. That would be our other evil character, so that could be kind of cute. I'll probably just pick up, I mean, you could go Wizard's Familiar or you could go Golden Chicken here. They're both about the same, but again, just prioritizing like current power for the board. And yeah, it does wind up working out okay that we pick up a Wizard's Familiar when we will eventually be playing some mages, but we're not there yet. I'm going to just backline the Brave Princess, prioritize slaying with the Polywoggle, though it's going to miss the 75%er there, a little bit awkward. And then Brave Princess does not get to attack because we don't have enough room on the board. We find another Polywoggle, pretty crazy stuff, and then we don't find the Wish Upon a Star, but we do find a Turkish Delight. So I am going to wind up picking up the Turkish Delight here. And again, you'll see that I was thinking about delaying my Polywoggles, not trying to slay with them this turn. It's kind of a weird one. I'm just trying to slay with my Polywoggles on all of these 0.2 turns, and that's going to be a pretty consistent thing throughout the game. Could have held on to them here, benched them, and then tried to upgrade them, grab a triple after a level up, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'll end up picking up Cursed Throne there, by the way. I generally do think that slay strategies are pretty good on Pup. That said, that's not quite going to be the direction that we go into this one. We do get the Brave Princess Slay, which also increases its power a little bit with the Cursed Throne, so that part is cute. But for the most part, I mean, really it's just that we don't find, if we found any River Wish Mermaids and Lightning Dragons, I would have picked them up and moved in that direction, which is not what we found, so I can't go for that. We do grab a Happy Little Tree off of our Polywoggle, so I'm taking a look here. Do I want to try to support a Soul Tack or something weird like that? I wind up looking at a board like this, playing the backline Mad Mim. It's basically fine, just as good as playing the 5/5 Cinderella. Mad Mim is worth, let's see, it would normally be a 6/3, but with Pup, it's giving an additional +4/+2, so that makes it a 10/5 in totality, all of the stats. Now, I think that some of those stats are wasted. Brave Princess probably has enough attack, but we'll still see what we can do with this one here. Brave Princess is actually going to get the first attack after Polywoggle gets attacked into, so Brave Princess does grab a slay, and then we're going to wind up taking a little bit of damage here as we give my opponent's Brave Princess a double slay, so good for them. And we do see a Lightning Dragon here on 4.1. Which, like I said, that plus River Wish Mermaid is something that I generally really like to do on Pup. So we'll pick that up and see what we can do. We haven't been making full use of this Wicked Witch the entirety of the game, so that part's a little bit awkward. Then I'll feed Cindy to the Kraken, get some additional cash to potentially find a River Wish Mermaid to round out the turn. We also have the End. We could pick that up here. And again, the main theory being, I know that we're in 6th place, but we do have some additional power on the board thanks to Being Pup, and we could use that power to justify some XP purchases. But I'm ultimately not going to go with that and instead try to work in a Nutcracker for a second here. I don't know, maybe a little bit awkward, not the best play. And then I move Brave Princess to attacking slot number 1, just because now I really want to slay with it, and also I think Polywoggle needed the help. I think Polywoggle needed a little bit more attack to get in there. Now, Polywoggle winds up getting attacked into, but we do complete the treasure with Brave Princess, and here is where we have to make some decisions. Telltale Quiver, pretty decent when you're working with all of these support characters. But Crystal Ball going into 5.0 on 4.2, there's a few times where I really like certain treasures, and that's Treasure Map and Crystal Ball early into level 5, including 4.2, and that's also Dragon's Nest and Bounty Board going into level 4. So I'll be a little bit more likely to take those treasures at those points in the game and wind up picking up the Crystal Ball here for exactly that reason. And that reason being that we could potentially find Aeon next turn, and that would be really good for us. So I wound up picking up a few more mages to round out the board, and the idea here is next turn we're going to go for an Aeon, and I'm just going to roll down for that. Now, you will notice something interesting. I keep in the Polywoggle again on 4.2. Honestly, this one might have just been a mistake, an oversight, but it works out. Polywoggle grabs the Slay, and that's actually really, really great for us here. Reason being, Polywoggle slays into a Baba Yaga, which will now be able to get to go a little bit zany with an Aeon. I suppose we could take a Fancy Pants here, though I also don't just hate skipping and using that extra cash to help me roll into an Aeon, so that's kind of the plan from here as well. The Nutcracker, definitely not looking super strong, though we can put the Sporco in front of it, and that gives it a little bit more stats. It's a little bit of something that we can potentially make work. And then I am actually going to find that Aeon, so I'll sell and throw that in the Baba Yaga slot, and then I throw in that Forbidden Fruit just to give the Aeon +1 attack effectively there. That's the whole plan. And now if we can start slaying with Aeon, our spells will cost 2 less, and we've got Hat Ball. And from there, it's pretty straightforward. We are a little bit strong right now. You do have to remember we did by 1 Turkish Delight, so we are a little bit ahead on the lobby as far as XP goes, and that's enough to allow Aeon to slay here on what is technically 4.2. We are going to have enough stats to get that done. So now our spells cost 2 less. We can see that my opponent had a hat and a fork, but now we are ballin'. So we're going to pick up some more mages, and we're going to do some mage things and see how much power we can add to this board by the end of the turn. Once you get that first slay with Aeon, it really generally does help you continue to slay, because then you will have a whole bunch of stats for future combats. And speaking of stats, I'm throwing all of my excess stats here onto Nutcracker. Reason being, I'm thinking we could still grab Forking Rod from that. That would be pretty cool. And here I'm going to sell 3 things and pick up a Sporco triple, and I'm going to grab the Forking Rod from that. So there we go. Easy does it. Now we are really cooking with gas. I'll double Kidnap to cap things off. And Aeon is up to 51 attack already on 5.0. Pretty insane stuff, and that's where this game just goes crazy. Like, I don't really feel like we particularly did pup things. I don't really I mean, we definitely did do some pup things, and that's been some of our stats, but just a very lucky and well-sequenced mages game. Obviously, Aeon's going to come down a little bit because some of those stats are temporary, but again, we're going to get it up to above 51 attack this turn too. So pretty crazy stuff all around. We're also playing up against the Ghost, so that's pretty free. We'll just sell off these Arthurs because I'm not doing anything with those, and then we're actually kind of looking to complete the Nutcracker against this ghost. We have gotten a whole bunch of sweet spells for that. Nutcracker cool because it is both a tree and a royal, so we can throw flourishes and Queen's Blessings onto that, so that is certainly nice, and definitely going to allow us to add some nice power to the board. I said we were going to get Aeon above 150. It's over, I'm sorry, above 51. Now it's above 150. It just goes absolutely insane here. I'm locking onto the True Love's Kiss because we can double kiss the Nutcracker this turn. That's definitely going to survive and activate as long as it gets attacked into one. So pretty crazy stuff. This is currently 5.1. Got to remember we're up 2 XP right now. So just all around insane stuff. We can just skip these treasures. I know we've got the Cursed Throne that we're not doing anything with, but I'm not really doing anything with any of these other treasures as well. Wind up Mix-a-Whizzling into a Storm King, which is a lot of stats, though those ones will be temporary. If we can't find a croc to put that in, that would definitely be huge if we could find a croc. And Big Book of Spells, that's pretty good too. We'll add that to the board. Unfortunately, we are out of gold. I maybe should have sold the golden chicken and tried to roll for a croc spell. Kind of just wasn't thinking of it at the time, but it would have been a ton of stats to try to lock onto this croc, and something that I probably should have gone for, but we will get that back as a Sporko next turn. That's a fine card as well. And yeah, ultimately feeling pretty powerful here, and we still have 2 benched mages even, and a benched upgraded Echo Wood, which does have some synergy. If you can throw some Echo Wood into a croc, that's pretty sweet. My opponent is lamenting the fact that we are so powerful. This is still 5.2, so pretty crazy stuff here. We will go for a True Love's Kiss onto that Sporko, hoping that it will go back into the Scion of the Storm. Not quite going to get there. Echo Wood is currently our tree, so we will throw some additional stats onto that. No longer a royal, but still a tree, and then we'll triple up on the Spellweavers. Just going to be skipping this treasure. Merlin's Hat is interesting. Maybe could have considered a treasure map, but I don't know. It's hard to break away from this treasure trio right here. I think this one is pretty good. We could throw something into a croc, just so that way we could look for tier 6 treasures, but I don't even know if we need that, and I don't even know if the gold is worth caring about that. I am going to wind up using all of my gold this turn to Knighthood in Aeon. The idea there basically being that I was going to run out of time otherwise, and it's a reasonable investment. It doubles the amount of stats that you get from it, and it also works out very well here because my opponent's copycat monster book kills my Baba Yaga. So despite not having a Baba Yaga, we are still going to have our spells cost 2 less this turn. Like I said, some luck definitely involved in this one, but no luck's given, baby. We are on to still the top 5, I suppose, as we move things along here. I'm going to flip the good boy. Don't really care about any evil characters. I just want to keep casting spells, though. And we get a Doom Breath, which is actually kind of a pretty nice unit, and I consider putting that in for a minute here as well. We find another Drink Me Potion, so we get to cast a whole bunch more spells. I'm just throwing them all on Aeon. We'll figure it out. Who cares? I'm just, like, anything, all of these stats are good on Aeon because the most important thing is that we keep slaying and keep making our spells super cheap. At some point, it's diminishing returns though, and I do throw a few spells on the Doom Breath as well to finish some things off. Don't actually have a good character, so have to roll past that. And then what we'll finish off with, again, just a little bit more health, and then a Ride of the Valkyrie to end the turn off. But absolutely massive units here. Doom Breath grabs a 2-for-1, which is nice. And then we are going to be able to take down the Potion Master. They were ballin', but they didn't have quite as much as we had going on. We're still at 30 health. We're still killing it. Like I said, it's just kind of a weird one. I don't I don't really have too much else to say from this point forward in the game, but obviously right now we are definitely killing it, and yeah, this is quite fantastic. Again, could be looking into some croc spells. There's not actually a great use of a croc spell on the current board, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. We'll just see how many spells we can cast as we wind things down here. I am going to wind up sharding the Doom Breath as well, just for fun, just because I didn't really need the Doom Breath. That gives me an upgraded Scion of the Storm. I will go ahead and put that in a croc, mostly just for surprisal factors. No reason to not have it in a croc or otherwise, but we'll throw it in there, and that could potentially result in a tier 6 treasure down the line. But like I said, don't really need a tier 6 treasure. Just have to keep on slaying with Aeon that we got, and yeah, we've got it all locked up here. Miri's looking good. This is a strong board for Miri, but not for us. We'll be able to eat my opponent here. You'll notice that I did throw that Scion Croc in front of the Baba Yaga, just so that way the Crocs grabbed a little bit more stats, because it was double crocked up, so might as well get a little bit more value there. And then I think we're on to the finals. Yeah, up against Zippy the Zombie. Could go for a Pigomorph. We do know that this is, you know, like the finals opponent here. Wind up grabbing a Chupacabra, which is now the thing that we'll put in front of the Baba Yaga, just to find even a little bit more stats, even so. But yeah, just silly. I'll wind up mix-a-whizzling that over into a good boy, which at the very least gives us a character to throw some more spells on, but we have not found any Beauty's influences this whole game. I would love to have had some Beauty's influences and been able to do something with that good boy, but unfortunately we were not able to do so. If you saw, there was very briefly a Scion of the Storm before it turns back into a good boy again, and then a pumpkin, and I Pigomorph with 10 gold left, but there just wasn't the time left on the clock to do anything. My opponent Pigomorphs us, we double Pigo them though, so I think we've got the better end of this deal, and that kind of just wrecks their whole board. We are still going to have to play one more fight in this one because my opponent still had a lot of health, but they also got pretty lucky on the character that they Pigomorphed out of us. They Pigomorphed our biggest unit. They might not have realized it, but they did Pigomorph our biggest unit, so we still have a lot of strength here yet to go. We wind up finding a Lordy, not super impressive. I'll keep on Mix-a-Whizzling and True Love's Kissing this thing until we get something that I'm happy with. I'm happy enough with an Ashwood Elm. We'll see what we can do with that. I mean, not going to buy any synergies for it. Okay, we will wind up Mix-a-Whizzling it one final time, it looks like, and then see how many more spells we can cast here before we're through. But looks like we are rounding things out, and I don't think we're going to have too much of a problem defeating this Zippy the Zombie. We are going to have too much of a problem casting all of our spells before our turn's up, as we do run out of time with some gold still left, but here we go. This should be a pretty easy win, and then we get to reveal to my opponent eventually here, after this croc pops open, that we've got a 1k Scion of the Storm that they didn't even know about because they Pigomorphed it last time. So yeah, not particularly close. Like I said, a very weird game, not super replicatable, but there you go. It was still a fun one. I've got some really, really fun ones coming for Christmas Eve. I think that my video tomorrow is cool, going to be rocking with Mrs. Claus, and then on Christmas I also have something very, very special planned that is definitely a fun little treat. You don't have to watch them on Christmas Eve and on Christmas, but those will be fun whenever you catch them for those that are busy with the holidays. But for today, that's going to be it for me, so thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Legs Given. Peace.